Yo guys, how's it going? Kermode here. It's been a long ass time since I've done a tutorial. Probably 2, 3, 4 months. Don't quote me, but it's definitely been a while. Finally got my lighting back so things aren't so dark and dreary in here. But most importantly, I wrote an EP, LP thing. I've been writing a ton of music actually. I'm sitting on a hell of a lot. But most importantly is I'm finally putting out music again, and I'm putting out new music in a new style. And it's kind of like electro, bass housey type stuff. And I've just been really in love with it. I've been loving that kind of music. It's kind of been my thing as of lately. It's what I've been just really looking for, listening to, playing out at performances. I've just really into 4 to the floor music now. So that brings us to today's video. I've got a new song out today, and it's called Lost Boy. And it's the first track off my new LP called Lowlight. The LP I'm going to be releasing over 1 or 2 months. I haven't really decided how often I'm going to spread the tracks apart, but the first track, Lost Boy, came out today, and I want to take an inside look. I want to dive into Ableton. I want to show you guys some of the things I did, maybe what it used to sound like, what it sounds like now, and just show you guys some techniques for making electro, things I discovered, how I wrote this song, and just get back into tutorials. It's been so long. I miss you guys. I miss making videos for you guys. It's been too long. So let's just get going. Let's dive right into it. Let's do it. So this is what the track sounds like now. I'm gonna play it for you here. That's what it sounds like now. I'm gonna start by showing you guys an old version where the writing's done, the mix isn't, and then I'm gonna work our way up to the final master. So this is what the old drop sounded like. Pretty similar, a little more dynamic, the kick's tucked in there, the pads aren't as good, but that's kind of what it's sounding like now. So I'm going to walk you guys through the song chronologically. So let's start with the beginning of the song here, and it just starts with a nice sweep in. So let's start with that sweep in. That sweep is actually some beatboxing. And then what I did, and I like to do, is I like to take FabFilter's Timeless, and I like to take the presets, and I like to slap the feedback up until you get these long, resonant, drawn-out tails like this. And it just kind of fades on forever and ever, and sometimes I'll even transpose that and make a build up. So the song kind of starts up with like this resonant sound. I also wanted a lot of texture, so I have dry ice, which I dropped into water with my buddy Bryson. It creates this cool bubbling sound. And clearly that's echoing out as well. And the reason I did that is because I want to establish that the song's gonna be 4 to the floor, because otherwise you've got all this echoing stuff, but nothing's really giving anyone a rhythm. So I always like to have some sort of element going at all times that establishes the rhythm. So even if the listener doesn't know it, they know the tempo, even though they don't know it yet. It hasn't been established that it's like an electro song, but it establishes it. In the intro too, there's some cut up chords because I want to establish a chord progression. Now there's chords behind the basses the whole time, but I kept the basses 1 note the whole song. But here's what the chords sound like. And so what's going on there is I took some vocals, and the vocals were playing the chords. Like I think I was using Exhale, which is a really cool pack for Contact. But what's making them all choppy and glitchy was then I ran them through Trash, I believe. And I went through presets while I had a beat repeat glitching it. And when you play through like that and you just record and resample, you get all these really cool results like this. Because each preset has a different distortion type, filter type, whatever's going on, and so you just get all these different textures. And essentially what I did is I cut those up for the intro, and you get something like this. And then on the drop, I cut it up differently, and you get something like this. And so what I felt that did is it kind of established the chord progression subtly underneath. So even though to a lot of people I think they're going to listen to this song and they think it's fun, to me the song was actually kind of dark and eerie because of the chords, and I wanted those tucked in and behind, kind of chopped up. The song was actually originally called Worlds Apart before it was called Lost Boy, because I was living far away from someone I really cared about at the time, and I just felt this kind of longing, and I wrote these chords that kind of expressed that longing. Of course, it turned into kind of more of a fun, techie, dark song. It was also the first time I wrote a song on my Atom speakers, and they have this kind of like gummy quality to it. I find they're kind of, I don't know, warm and gummy. It's really hard to explain. And I wanted to get that quality in the basses, which leads us to the most important part, and that is the actual basses. Let's take a listen. Cool, so that's pretty cool. What I did is I wrote a pattern in MIDI of just the line I wanted, just a G note happening over and over again, and I established a groove. But then what I do sometimes when I'm not feeling very creative is I create these racks to generate ideas for me. And in this song, I used what I called my Ultimate Bass Rack 2017, which was essentially me taking all my 2017 basses, throwing them into samplers and establishing their root key, and then using LFOs for Max for Live to randomly select which bass is playing. So you can see there's a chain selector jumping through all these basses. There must have been a ton of them. And then there's another LFO moving, and it's changing the start point in the sample. And I'm changing the start point here with this auxiliary envelope in each individual sampler. And the peak is changing the start point. So when I hit play, every single note, every single one of those G's that's triggering is going to trigger a different bass and a different starting point in that bass. And it's kind of random because the rate is unsynchronized to the music, so it's always going to be different. I sidechained it to the kick drum, I added a bit of OTT, and I distorted them together. And when you hit play, you get something like this. Sounds epic. And what I do is I resample that down, and I just start creating patterns out of it. I just pick one hit that I think is going to be great. So the first hit was this. I think what I established first was this groove. Listening to the chords the whole time in the background. And then I just start filling it out one bass at a time. So I copy a little chunk of audio, and I pick whichever one fits best there. If I don't like it, I scroll through. That might have even been cooler, so maybe that was cooler. I could copy and paste that, create a little pattern. And then what I like to do on the fills, the turnarounds, is switch it up. Take the repetitiveness, add something different, so create a fun little fill, bass fill. Again, just chopping up that existing material. So usually what I'll do is I'll let that concept loop once or twice, Have some sort of fill again at the end. And then I like to have a variation. And I take a few of the basses and I switch them out. Maybe I switch the groove. So this time there's a new bass on the 1. Get that new one. And you get a different one on the end. So those two is new and something new for the listener. Here comes a fill. Switch it up with a fill. Now I want a big turnaround, big empty fill. So I cut the bass all there together there. And I created some sort of fill out of the pad, it looks like. So one pitched up an octave, the original one, and maybe some Foley or something. Some sort of glitch at the bottom. One up here as well. There's the Foley. So it kind of just exaggerates that texture and tone of da 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 da. I kind of brought that out with Foley. So now it turns around, we get something completely different. Whole new bass. Sounds like a whole new pattern to me. I don't even know what crossed over. So all that's new. The only thing that's the same is this one weird bass to me that sounded kind of like a double kick, like kind of like, it's not really a bass. I just really like the texture of it. So that one's kind of throughout the whole song. It's actually pretty much always there on the same spot. So that's kind of that. I just keep switching it up, keep taking the basses I chopped up, adding little details here and there. Whatever they are, just little synth fills. So at this point in the song, I felt almost bored, like there needed to be something different. So on the second half, I introduce a melody that didn't exist previously. We kind of had a chord progression, we had atonal basses, but I introduced a melody because we haven't had a melody yet in the song. So because this song's kind of longing and it felt kind of creepy and sad and dark, I came up with this kind of dark melody here. Now there's sort of two parts to it. There's the original one, which is kind of just smooth and echoey and clean. And then there was another version which I ran through Trash as well, and it came out kind of gritty and sounded like it was like ripping through the speakers, and I really liked that aspect to it. It kind of just felt like it was like shredding and straining to get its voice out. Again, I believe it was just distortion. If we solo it, so just layering kind of a smooth one with a dirty one. And then on the drop, or the chorus, whatever you want to call it, I don't know if it's a drop, if it's electro music anymore, I chop up that lead to fit the bass groove, and you get this. So same thing as the chords, just like cut up, distorted versions of the original, and then a whole new bass groove for the wraparound. Same thing, establish a pattern. Here we switch it where there's a new bass on the third part. That beat boo, beat boo. So it kind of switches it up. So fill. Same thing. And song's over. We go back to the A drop. The lead echoes out. And then the song just starts to fade out. So it's a pretty simple tune. It came together really quickly because clearly there's not too much going on. Chords, bass, drums, a lead, and the basses were just chopping, a lot of chopping and editing. I love doing that, and I think it works really well with this style of music. So there we go, guys. That was Lost Boy. I was originally going to go into the mixdown and show you guys more, but that session was way too beefy and crapping out. But it's okay. You guys aren't missing out on much because you got all the production tips out of the video. If you liked it, let me know in the comments because I got 5 other songs coming out on the record, and I'll do more like this if you want to see more inside look videos. I'm also just glad to be back doing tutorials, and if you want more and you want to see more, leave a like. Let me know what sort of topics you want in the comments. Again, Lost Boy's out. If you guys want to check out the full song and not just the session, you can check it out in the description of this video. Your guys' continuous support means more than you know. So there you go, guys. I hope you like the change in direction and new music. I hope you liked the video, and I hope you guys are glad I'm back because I sure am. And I'm excited to make you guys some new videos. Thanks again, guys. I'm Kermode. Peace.